Welcome everybody. Welcome back to the Random Hot Topics channel, and I am your host Brandon. Sorry to my 136 subscribers. We're gonna get there one day. It's gonna be growing. I was on a little hiatus, I guess. It's probably been close to a month since I posted something, but I had a couple personal things, personal endeavors, and won't lie, I got a little lazy, but I'm going to start back. And so welcome back to the channel. I ran across a video, and if you would, before let me go and get this out of the way, if you would please smash that like button and think about subscribing. Hey, it's free. I hope that I can earn a spot in your subscription list. That's my goal. I'm trying to produce quality videos. Anyway. Alright, so anyway, all that out of the way, if you would please smash that like button, maybe subscribe. Up to you. But I would greatly appreciate it. Alright, so I'm going to react to Destroying. This was put up 2 weeks ago by Basketball Universe. And we're going to plug him real quick.
Who's fun for tax season?
Let's pause this. So Basketball Universe. The video comes from him. And 270 videos, 12.3 thousand subscribers, a lot more than me. So go send him some love if you feel like it. Yeah, send him some love. Alright, so let's get on with the show. As they say. Oh. Alright, so here we go.
Do you have to believe that Michael Jordan is the GOAT?
Here we go.
Absolutely not. Some of the most knowledgeable people in basketball have their own opinions on who they think the greatest player of all time is. In fact, it makes these types of debates fun, where there's a variety of opinions. But when you use false narratives to tear down Michael Jordan, that's when there's a problem. And there are many ridiculous critiques on the near consensus GOAT.
MJ.
We're going to go one by one and tear each one of them down by using logic and numbers. The most popular one that we see is that Jordan went 1-9 in the playoffs before Scottie Pippen was drafted. In other words, people are disqualifying him for what he failed to do in the first 3 seasons of his career. If we're using that logic, then poor Wemby. He's already disqualified for failing in his rookie season.
If he stays healthy, he's going to be a beast.
His first went 22-60.
He's so tall and
those people do have LeBron James
skinny
as their GOAT. His team missed the playoffs in his first 2 seasons. At least the Bulls reached the playoffs. And what about Kobe Bryant? He was coming off the bench for his first 2 seasons. What did he do to contribute to the Lakers' success? I seriously hope that you caught my sarcastic tone. I believe it's foolish to put that much weight on what a player failed to do that early in their careers. But if you want to have a serious conversation on Jordan's supposed failures without Scottie Pippen, then we can break it down. In the 1983-84 season, the Bulls won 27 games. In Jordan's rookie season, they won 38 games, which is an 11-game improvement. They went from being the second worst team in the league to a playoff team.
wow.
And they were playing the Milwaukee Bucks in the first round, who won 59 games. Expecting a rookie to carry such a weak team to victory over a legitimate title contender is beyond nonsense. In the following season, he broke his foot and missed 64 games. With him gone, the Bulls won 30 games.
Jordan, boy.
This proves how little talent the Bulls had other than Michael Jordan.
It already shows you his greatness.
And they face what many consider
Larry Bird
the
knew
greatest
basketball,
team of all
but
time. The Boston Celtics won 37 more games than the Bulls. Jordan averaged 43.7 points per game on 51% shooting against that team. and they still couldn't win a game. Do you seriously want to blame Michael for that? Check out what happened in the next season.
We shouldn't blame Michael for that because, Lord have mercy, after all that, that just shows you how good the Celtics were. Bird and Bird wasn't nothing to play around with. I think the only person Bird was scared of was Michael Jordan whenever he first faced him, and I think Bird was glad that he was toward the end of his career. And didn't have to face Michael Jordan, young Michael Jordan, but a couple of times because Larry Bird was the undisputed. He was the Michael Jordan before Michael Jordan came along, and I think just like that statement he said, I just saw a guy dressed up as Michael Jordan. For Larry Bird to say that, anyway.
Remember, we're talking about the same team that won 30 games with Jordan out with an injury. They lost their 4 best.
I know a lot of people can pound the ball, but one thing I've always wanted to say, and I want to say it before I forget it, Jordan, if you ever noticed, I know a lot of, pretty much all basketball players can pound the ball, but Jordan, he has such a big hand. If you ever look at Jordan, look at how, like, he can pound that ball, and the ball looks small. Not as small as it does in, like, Shaquille's hand, but, man, he can just, that's why he was able to, fake pass and then all that stuff, because he could just, he just hold on that ball like a baseball. Anyway, I had to mention that. That's one thing I always noticed about Michael Jordan. Those hands, he had really big, like really wide hands and long fingers. He could really get a good grip on that ball.
Scoring options. Orlando Woolridge was traded for a second-round draft pick. Quentin Daly left to play for the Clippers. George Gervin left to play in Italy. And Sidney Green was traded away for pieces that ended up being of no use. So this team, that wasn't talented to begin with, lost all of their best scorers. Who was called upon to help MJ on the offensive end? It was Charles Oakley, who was only in his second season.
Charles Oakley.
This team was so bad that the New York Times wrote that if Jordan concentrated on passing to the other Bulls, Chicago might finish 20-62 or 0-82.
Wow.
The only way they could remain competitive.
I did not know that. I know somebody said that if Jordan were to focus on passing the ball, they would lose horribly. I know what you're at. Man, I never knew that. Wow, that's pretty. That statement shows you how valuable he was to his team. I might argue he might should have won the most valuable player every time. I mean, there was no other person, I don't think, in the history that was more valuable than Michael Jordan to a team.
If he won games by himself, that led him to average his career high 37.1 points, which is still the highest average since the merger. And again, they faced the Boston Celtics in the first round. The team that had 5 Hall of Fame players. One player cannot contend with them, no matter how good they are. In the next season, the Bulls drafted Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant. They also traded for Sam Vincent, who was a sharp outside shooter. This was the season where they finally got out of the first round.
That was the shot.
How much did those 2 players contribute to the 1988 playoffs?
That was the shot.
Series, Jordan averaged 45.2 points per game.
The shot where they were so great. He jumped, and his knee was up toward Elo's head, and he contorted and hung in the air, and then right before he on the way down, he let it go with just such precision. Unbelievable. That's one of probably my favorite shots of his. It's so great.
While Pippen and Grant averaged a combined 19.4 points. Come on, people. The numbers clearly indicate that he didn't need Scottie Pippen to advance past the first round. Obviously not, because he was only a rookie.
No,
He just needed
it's,
competent players who could help a little.
that's one reason Scotty got sour, because Scotty really thought that he was as good or better than Michael Jordan, and he felt like that if he would have got the ball more times, then he would have been, Michael Jordan. It would have been Scottie Pippen instead of Michael Jordan. Anyway, we have Scottie Pippen shoes, from what I understand. But come on, his ego is way out of control if he thinks he can touch Michael Jordan.
On the offensive end. What about in 1989, when the Bulls made the conference finals? How much did they contribute? Pippen averaged 13.1 points, and Grant averaged 10.8 points in the playoffs.
You get Pippen the ball at those crucial times like you did Michael Jordan, and when you had to have a buzzer beater or you had to score. Michael Jordan was one of those like Kobe. He could just will it. And he had all the moves. But you give that to Pippen, I guarantee you he wouldn't have made. There's only a few people on this planet that can do things like Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods, and it's all up here.
Team in assists and steals. Doesn't that sound like a one?
They're mind
show
control.
to
People,
you?
like Tiger Woods and Michael
If
Jordan,
not,
people like that
let's look at
are
a historical
unbelievable.
comparison. Let's look at the 1994 Houston Rockets. The team were
Hakeem
all in
Olajuwon.
agreement that they were a one-man show led by Hakeem Olajuwon.
He was
Their
Hakeem
second
was
leading
sick.
scorer was Otis Thorpe.
Hakeem was
who
gross.
averaged 14 points per game. And even Vernon Maxwell averaged more than Scotty. He averaged 13.6.
Vernon Maxwell averaged more than Scotty.
Now let's look
Come
at
on,
the
Scotty.
2001 Philadelphia 76ers.
Allen Iverson
was led by Allen
was
Iverson
better than Scottie
and a
Pippen
bunch of
was.
role
I mean, he
players
was
slash
like
defensive specialists.
4 or
Aaron
5
McKee
inches shorter.
and Dikembe Mutombo
The answer
both
there,
averaged
dude.
more points in the playoffs than Scottie Pippen did.
Look at that.
This is the point
Mutombo and
Aaron McKee and
Aaron
Dikembe
McKee and Mutombo.
both averaged more points in the playoffs than Scottie Pippen did. This is the
Wow.
point that I'm trying to make. I believe it's common knowledge that a star player needs great teammates to win a championship. No one is denying
Yes.
that he couldn't do it without Pippen.
Not denying
But
that.
to say that he
Great.
couldn't succeed without him is completely missing the facts of the matter. Here's the next Jordan critique.
Yes.
There are some who believe that
Yes.
losing to the Detroit Pistons 3 years in a row should disqualify him as the GOAT. Now, I'm not going to sit here and dispute and critique without Pippen. But to say that he couldn't succeed without him is completely missing the facts of the matter.
Of course.
Here's the next Jordan critique. There are some who believe
Oh.
that losing to the Detroit Pistons 3 years in a row should disqualify him as the GOAT. Now, I'm not going to sit here and discredit what the Pistons accomplished. They are a historically great team that played incredibly well together. Just as I mentioned about the Boston Celtics earlier, one great player
Bad boy
wasn't
Pistons
going to
were
beat
good.
that team. But is that enough to disqualify him? Are we taking away points for a player losing in the playoffs? I believe we shouldn't. Here's why. 99% of all players that have ever played in the NBA lost more than they won. Unless your GOAT is Bill Russell. That line of argument is simply flawed. The question that we should be really asking is, did Jordan cause the Bulls to lose? Did he deserve any of the blame? That is where we really go hard on the players. Think of LeBron's performance.
Yeah, you might can argue a couple of games that, Jordan may have been a little bit ball hoggy. But, he has a proven track record of knocking down the most amazing shots. The Bulls went to other people besides Michael Jordan every time, but Michael Jordan was the one you wanted the ball in his hands. It was one of those people like LeBron, one of those people like Bird. He just knew how to. If you ever watched, like I did back in the day, you'll see Michael Jordan is almost like he's like the best athletic basketball player slash coach you've ever seen. He'll get the ball and especially with him and Pippen. There weren't many other teammates that did much. Maybe Harper or Kerr for a three inside, but most of the time it was Jordan directing traffic, and they always handed it to Jordan. He just would always score.
Performance in the 2011 finals, Kobe in the 2004 finals, or Magic Johnson in the 1984 finals. Let's look at the numbers for each playoff series. In 1988, Jordan averaged 27.4 points on 49% shooting. Remember, this was the same team that invented the Jordan rules and supposedly shut him down. But that's not what the numbers say. Instead, they did a great...
The Jordan rules, that reminds me of in golf. I know I keep going back to golf, but I'm a golf. I was raised up on golf, and I watched Tiger Woods and all these golf courses. Tiger Woods was hitting it so long, just like Jordan, and they did what they call tiger proofing these golf courses. They would back the tees up. Because he would knock it like 350 yards and have a pitching wedge into a par 5 when everybody else would have to take like driver and then a 3 would even barely get there. Anyway.
Job of shutting down everyone else. Their second leading scorer, Sam Vincent, averaged 12.8 points on 41% shooting. The Bulls were nowhere near as talented as the Pistons, and that's why they lost in 5 games. If that was the case in 1988, then we can say the same in 1989. The Pistons won 63 games, while the Bulls won 47 games. It was almost the same story. Jordan averaged 29.7 points on 46% shooting. Their second leading scorer, Craig Hodges, averaged 12 points on 45% shooting. In the following season, the Bulls finally had the talent to give the Pistons a fair fight. And how did they perform?
Let's put this old phone back in service with the new Generate Background feature in Photoshop. First, we'll remove the background, then click Generate Background.
If you look at the stat line, there were only 2 players who shot over 43% from the field. That was Michael Jordan and Charles Davis, who took a grand total of 1 shot in that series. On the other hand, MJ averaged 32.1 points, while leading the team in assists and steals.
Look at Jordan, watch this. I mean, he just... Yeah.
On the other hand, MJ averaged
knew it was going in.
Points,
Look at that.
while leading the team in
Well, I
assists
mean, he saw it
and
going in, but
steals.
he just...
Did the Bulls lose because of him in those 3 seasons? No. Did he underperform at a shockingly low level where people question his individual greatness? No. In fact, he was the only reason the series in 1988 and 1989 were competitive. The Pistons knew they couldn't contain him. The numbers say they never did. Instead, they contained everyone else, and that's why they lost. Once his teammates increased their level of play, they were able to crush the Detroit Pistons in 1991. I was able to break this down in this video, and I encourage everyone to watch it to get the full analysis of that series. But there should be no
I'll have to watch that video next.
losing to a historically great team while you're the only
That's
strong
interesting.
scoring
This guy
option.
does some good stuff.
The next critique is that he was only a scorer, that he wasn't a great all-around player.
No.
Well, does an all-around player just involve
He had
standing on
everything.
defense to grab
Everything.
the rebounds and dishing out a lot of assists?
Still.
Or does all-around
Blah.
also involve playing both ends of the floor? Because in 1988, he was the only player to ever win the scoring title.
One thing about Jordan, too, he was insane, psychotic. He never ran out of energy. That was one of his trademarks. Everybody said, Jordan had, he would play he would maybe only sit out like 5 to 10 minutes a game. Crazy. He has so much endurance.
And Defensive Player of the Year in the same season. Oh, and by the way, he was the MVP. Then in 1989, he averaged 32.5 points, 8 assists, and 8 rebounds. How many players in the history of the league have been able to match or surpass those numbers? Just one. That's Luka Doncic in this offensive-friendly league. Here's the difference though. Jordan averaged 2.9 steals, while Luka averaged 1.4. That's what made Michael's stat line one of a kind. Then the 1991 finals, Jordan averaged 11.4 assists for the series. Do you know how many players have averaged more assists in the finals? Just one. That's Magic Johnson. Not even John Stockton, Jason Kidd, Chris Paul, LeBron James, Isaiah Thomas, Rajon Rondo, or Oscar Robertson have done better. The reality is that he has always been more than just a scorer. Well, Jordan's competition wasn't the same as the players now. Really? Because in the 1988 season, where he won his first MVP, he was competing against Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Isaiah Thomas, Hakeem Olajuwon, Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, John Stockton, Dominique Wilkins, Patrick Ewing, and Clyde Drexler. All of them were in their prime. All of them recorded great numbers. None of them could compete with what MJ was accomplishing. Then we have the 90s decade. The younger fans might be done with it, but that may be because they are scared of the truth. Do you know how many teams in those 10 years won over 50 games? 78. And we're taking away the 1999 season because of the lockout. We're halfway through this decade, and there have only been 25 teams that have won over 50 games. I don't know about you, but it seems like one era of basketball was much more competitive than the other. And in that era, Jordan's teams dominated. That's all I know, but that's enough from me. Now it's time for you all to weigh in. How would you respond to each of these criticisms? What are some of the crazy things that you have heard people say to simply knock MJ off the GOAT position? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.
Okay, well, that was good. I enjoyed that. A couple things I want to say before I end the video. I know we all have our biases, and LeBron James is an absolutely phenomenal player, but I just don't think. I mean, I watched both of them. I'm 30, like I said, I'm 37 and a half. And I used to watch Michael Jordan and the Bulls. Me and my family used to get together and watch them all in the playoffs. And I will always bring back this point, and unless somebody pushes back on me. Now, I know the Bulls had a great team, but Michael Jordan was drafted by the Chicago Bulls, won all 6 of his championships with the Chicago Bulls. He never left like LeBron did to try to go form a super team like he did with Bosh and Wade in Miami. Now, I think he won one in Miami, and I will give him credit. He came back to Cleveland, and he won one for Cleveland, so I think that was 2. And the Lakers was next, and they just got 4, I think. 4. I can't remember. I had to look. But it's just, I don't know. Michael Jordan, just like Phil Jackson said, Michael Jordan was more obsessed. He was comparing Kobe Bryant to Michael Jordan. He said Kobe Bryant is a type of guy. I used to have to calm him down because he used to want to get the ball and just take over the game by himself and just shoot. And Jordan would do that, but if he didn't feel like he was shooting good, Jordan was at the bottom. His sole focus was on winning the game. So if he felt like he wasn't shooting good, he would pass it off and distract people. And he just had more of a he had the way I explain Michael Jordan is he had the knowledge of a coach or the knowledge of a Larry Bird, but the athleticism of a LeBron James, and that together came and along with his mental drive to he just could not. He had to keep winning, and second place was not an option to him. And that is the mark of all true champions. Again, Tiger Woods and golf regurgitated. I'm sure somebody said it before him, but second place is the first loser. Anyway, okay, that's going to do it for me. This is your host, Brandon. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up and possibly subscribe. I'm going to try to continue putting stuff out like this. I saw another good video I'm going to try to react to next time. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope all of you have a great day. And remember to be kind to everybody. Peace out until next time. It is your host Brandon signing off for the Random Hot Topics YouTube channel.